Discord. So, yeah, test on Monday the next time, unless you're in for Friday school, the next time that I see you will be Monday. So if you're in here tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow. If not, then the next time I see you, I'll be handing out your Unit 1 district assessment. Woof, it's a big deal. So here comes some problems that I just wrote that are similar to the ones on the district assessment. And I can't give you too much time, but I also don't want you to go crazy fast. So on the test, this question will be a multiple choice. But I didn't write any multiple choices for this particular one. I just want us to solve it. Should take you, if you know what you're doing, about 20 seconds. Everybody committed to an answer? Okay, doing this in my head, I believe the answer is 72. And I hope that that's what you got. So the process behind this is that we're going to multiply the whole thing by 8/5. And then we're going to cancel out this. And then on the right-hand side, the fish hook's going to work just fine. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. And 9 times 8 is 72. And presto, done. Does anyone have any questions about that process? All right, good. I feel good about that one. I think we're at about 100% goodness there. So this one I did write a slide for just because I wanted it to be multiple choice. So I've put an inequality up there at the top of the board, and I'd like you to answer the question at the bottom. And notice that I put in italicized and underlined font, not. So there are 4 numbers at the bottom. One of them is not a solution, and 3 of them are. The trick to this problem, am I kidding? It's not a trick. The method to solve this is to actually solve the math problem first. Pretend it's not a multiple choice problem and solve this inequality. So we're going to divide both sides by -6, right? Yeah. And then I'm going to say that, okay, if it were not a multiple choice problem, my answer would be X is what? Negative. Less than. There, that's the key. Remember, -4 is just a number, but the less than is the verb. So we're looking for numbers that are less than -4. So is -5 less than -4? Yes, it is. So don't pick that one because it says which of these is not a solution. All right. Is -10 less than -4? Don't pick that. -24, don't pick that. Do pick this one because -4 is not less than himself, right? Yeah. I hope that makes sense. Do we have to write the parts? You don't have to do anything. No, I'm just doing this as a service to help. If you don't want to copy every little thing down today, you don't have to, but no, this is just for us to, I'm just trying one last shot to make sure that the average on Monday is like 94% and not 86%. That's what we're going for here. Okay. Any questions on that particular problem? Okay. So some of these I have on the computer, some of them I have on a note card, I believe. Yeah, this is my number 3 for you. And you're pretty familiar with this by now, right? But what's going to be our strategy for the building, person, flagpole, tree, shadow problem? What's our strat? What do we do? I'm sorry that you don't know the answer to this question, but really anytime we have a problem like this, what really ought we do? Make 12. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but say again. Yeah, but you're still missing something, and maybe you just know it and you're not saying it. But what have I done every time we've done a problem like this? Oh, make a picture, right? Yeah, and I need to pause the recording real quick because this is my reminder to okay. We're good. Yes, you finally said it. Let's draw a picture. I maybe you don't need it, but as far as I'm concerned, as your teacher, I feel like I would be a terrible person if I didn't encourage you to draw a picture. So it doesn't have to be a good looking picture. So let's see, I have a small tree and a tall building. So I feel like the tree can be like this big, and maybe the building can be like this big. Again, is certainly not drawn to scale, right? And it looks like the tree is casting a 10-foot shadow, so maybe something kind of like this. And then the building is casting a shadow, maybe something like this. Remember, what makes this problem work is the fact that the sun casts shadows at the same angles over items in close proximity and relatively decent similar size, because of the sun being up in the sky, right? So the things we want to fill in first are the ones that I think are obvious. Let's start with the 10-foot shadow on the tree. So I can put 10 feet right there. And there's, what else can I put in? 35 on the shadow of the building, bless you, like this. Seeing the picture is what keeps our thoughts straight and making sure that our proportions are in line with each other. Bless you again. So yeah, so you guys were saying it before we even talked about the picture. You got to take 12 feet 8 inches and make it a decimal. What is that?
12.6 repeat.
Yes, it is. And I think again, I've run out of kind of decimals here because we've done this so many times, but you got to take the 8 inches and divide it by 12. Your calculator will say 0.6 repeating, right? So we're going to call the height of the tree 12.6 repeating. And it will not be like that on the test. It'll be a nice one, like 0.75, 0.5, 0.25, something pretty. So you won't have to worry about, yeah, you won't have to worry about the repeating garbage. So the infrastructure is in place. And then of course I'm going to put an X and we're ready to go. If you can do this without a picture, like really that's on you. I wouldn't be comfortable doing it that way. So what's one proportion that I could write? And I'm going to scroll off of this now so that I have more room. So there's what we need. What's something I could write? What is to what as what is to what?
12.6 is to 10.
Okay.
As X is to 35.
It's gorgeous. That right there is a perfect answer. Now, again, since it's multiple choice, what if that's not there? I'm not going to panic. What else could I do? I could just flip it. I could quite literally take both of Cal's fractions and just flip them over. As long as I do it to both of them, then it's a valid proportion. But then I'm like, well, dang it. What if those aren't on there? What's the other route?
Shadow to shadow, object to object.
You're the man. Yeah. So we can, so Cal did his like this, object to shadow, object to shadow. Again, we can switch it up and go object to object, shadow to shadow. And if you do it this way, and then of course flip both of these over and they're not there, then something has gone amiss, but it'll work, I promise. So any questions on number 3? I feel like we've been over that enough now that should be, you should be good. I feel like if you draw a picture, you're gonna be just fine there. All right, last chance. Any questions on that one? Okay, let's get to it then. These next 7 or 8 problems in a row are just ones that I have just copied. I'm just going to copy them up here, so you'll just write them on your paper. So let's solve this. And today is a great day for you to speak up and advocate for yourself. If we do something and you're like, wait, just you stop us and ask. Today's your day. How long you need for this? A minute? I was just trying to do it in my head, and I think the answer is 7/18. What's that? 315 to 8. Yeah, that's gonna be it, right? So let's go through the process. All right. The algebra, before we get to the actual math, the algebraic process is without question, we're going to subtract 4/9 from both sides. And why is this a problem?
They're not the same.
The bottoms aren't the same. So we're going to go through and say, what can 6 and 9 both go into? And the answer is, yeah, I mean, you could say 54, you could say 36. Ideally, you would say 18. And 36 will work just fine because at the end, you're going to get 14 over 36, which you're going to reduce down to what I have anyways, right? And it would even work if you did 54. You're just going to have a more annoying fraction to reduce at the end. So anyways, what's the top of the top fraction up here?
30.
We're on mine, okay, 15, because I'm using the smaller denominator. So times 3 times 3. How about the top of my bottom fraction? -8, -8, whatever you want to call it. And then we're home free. And that's where the answer comes from. It's like you already know from these that the answer is going to have 18 on the bottom, right? And then you just do the math on the top. So you go 15 -8, 7, presto. Any questions on that? Okay. Can I scroll? I should say, may I scroll? Okay. Next one, we're going to do -10 equals x minus 6 over 3. This one you shouldn't need more than about 20 seconds. I do have the answer written up in the corner. So hopefully this went well for you. Like I said, this one shouldn't be a very long problem at all. You should have all started by multiplying by 3. And then from there, the x minus 6 drops down and you get equals -30. And then you add 6 to both sides, right? And if we add 6, we get x equals -30 plus 6, which is, well, -20. Any questions on that process? Good. The next one that I have for you is this. Push. Jay, would you mind shutting the door? Just make sure the lock block's in for me, bud. Thanks.
Not the lock block.
Just put it in so the door doesn't lock. Thank you.
No box.
Don't want it to lock. I want people to be able to come in. Thank you. This problem exists for one reason. Like I wrote this assessment with Mr. Anderson years ago, and when we wrote this problem, the conversation was, we need to make a problem early on that tests the kids. Do they know to combine like terms before they start solving the equation? That's the only reason this problem made the cut. And so what we're looking for here is, did every single one of you acknowledge that these x's on the same side need to be put together first? That's why it's here. And if you did that, then the rest is a cakewalk. So -6x plus 2x is -4x, and then everything else just copies down. And from here, it's a very ho-hum two-step equation. So that's what it's for, is did you pass that test? So from here, I'm going to subtract 11 from both sides and get 32. And then I'm going to divide by -4 and get x equals -8. So successful so far, guys? Yeah. That's fantastic news. Good, good. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
$18 is to x as 12 is to 4. There is no requirement that you show really. I mean, I think if you're going to show work, like I think the way this assessment is, a problem like this, I think has 1 point for process and 1 point for answer. So there's not a lot to do here. There's a lot of ways I would accept you showing your work. Does anyone just know the answer just from looking at it right away? It's 6. It's 100% 6. And if you don't see why, this would be enough work for me when I'm grading your assessments on Monday night while I'm sitting at home, maybe watching Monday Night Football. If I saw a kid do this, I'd say enough work. I get it. I see what you did. And then that's all the work I would need. Because this, if I saw this on Chris's paper, I go, he clearly understands that the bottom number has to get multiplied by 3 to make the number above it. So what gets multiplied by 3 to make 18 is 6, and he's out. If someone else, like, let's say Nash was like, well, I'd like to show more work than that, then he can cross multiply like this. What does that red cross make? 12x. And what does this yellow cross make? It makes 72. And then you put an equal sign in between them and you divide both sides by 12. And guess what you get? You still get 6, right? So that's one where I'm going to be pretty laxed on work. Where I would be cranky and have to take a point off is if all I saw was that answer. You get that right. Okay. So there just has to be some form of communication as to what you did. It doesn't have to be formal in a case like this. Any questions on that problem? Rad. Next one. This is the killer. I hate this problem so much. And you know what? If you say, well, if you hate it, why do we keep doing it? The answer is I'll quit doing it when everyone gets it right. How's that for a deal? Keep writing. Keep writing. If your pencil keeps moving, you're not going to fall asleep. You force yourself. Just be busy. You don't know why I hate this problem.
Oh, I see why you hate it.
I hate it because and I mean, gosh, I don't mean to be like negative Nancy, but I feel like I should be able to get 100% of you on board with this. Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
I
Good.
got it.
The first thing, nice job. I'm so glad if you all get it. We have to subtract 52 from both sides. The first evil that I had to eradicate back in September was getting you guys to not add 52. Because remember, the minus belongs to the X, right? So to kill a positive 52, we subtract 52. But why we're not out of the woods is because of Z minus. So he's still here as a negative X equals negative 54. And how do we get X now
You
solved for?
divide it by -1
Yes.
or by negative.
-1, call it whatever you'd like, as long as you figure out that it has to wind up looking like this.
Yeah.
So that was a struggle. I mean, that's one that usually takes a few goes with the first quiz of the year. Got to keep hitting that one. Are we successful there?
Yeah.
Fantastic news. Number 9 on my note card, I wrote myself a note that says this one's on the computer. So that's this one. So. And again, I use, sorry for that obnoxious blue. That's almost hard to read. It's so obnoxious, but I changed it to blue. I changed it to bold and I underlined it because I need for the 19th time to say, you must write an equation with a letter in it. Okay. This is not just a simple math problem. It's an algebra problem. So, take a moment, write your equation, solve it, and I'll be right back with you in like, what do you need, a minute? And if you don't know how to do it, well, good thing we're reviewing today, because you will soon. I wrote this earlier and I think I remember the answer, like the final answer as being like 7 hours. Is what I think I did. So, but before that, there are several things that have to take place. So if this helps anyone in the room, then I'll chalk it up to a win. If it doesn't, then I'll chalk it up to, oh, well. I'm a believer in using words. So just writing down something simple like parts plus labor equals bill just could be the thing that breaks you free, just sets you wide, breaks you wide open. So let's talk in terms of now, what can we put in? Do we have a number that we can put in place of parts?
250.
Yes, the parts were 250, and there is no variable there because that's not something that changes. That's in math what we call a constant. It's just a number, boom, set, done. Okay. How much did the labor cost? 43.25. How about I stick a variable on there like X? Some people use H for hours. That's fine too. You can use any variable you want. Do you all see why that one is where the variable's at? That's the one that changes. How that's a variable value. That quantity changes if the laborer, if the person that's working on your sprinklers works for 1 hour or 2 hours. That's the part that changes. And then the bill, the total we know is what?
$552.75.
So the first thing that I will look for on Monday evening when I'm grading your tests is right there on the board. You don't have that, I'm gonna have some pretty negative things to think and say. That's a variable equation, an algebraic equation. Clear? Awesome. Now to solve it, you could do this in your sleep. I would subtract 250 from both sides. And I would get 43.25x equals, what's that?
302.75.
Thank you, 302.75. And then I would divide both sides by 43.25 and I would get x equals 7. So then I just, hey-o. I mean, when we talk about the points awarded on this problem, there are points awarded here, there are points awarded for this work, and there are points awarded here. So remember, just the answer is only a very small part of the problem. Yeah.
Don't you have to put something else?
Yeah, you should put something like, even if it's not a complete sentence, it just something to give it context, like 7 hours of labor.
Okay.
In a perfect world, we would all write complete sentences and say, the laborer worked for 7 hours. I'm not going to worry about that right now, but do give it some sort of English context because all of this is nothing that anyone asked us for, right? They asked us for how many hours. And so we want to be courteous and express it in English. So good there?
Yeah.
Right. The next one is not already written. I have it right here. And it is one of these, your favorite. R equals 1/8 times the quantity of M minus N minus P. And we are going to solve for M. Telling you the pencil trick works. If you write, you will not fall asleep. It's when you start staring at the board, then you go, and then the eyes go. You don't like this problem, do you? Was that what the shake of the head was
I
for?
forgot how to do this.
Yeah. So again, good thing we're practicing today. I'm really glad we're doing this. I guess to me, part of being good at math is just always this. If you decide ever to take Algebra 2, this becomes really critically important right away at the start of the school year. It's just when we do our factoring unit, it's just knowing what to do first. Like a lot of kids just tell me what to do first, and then they poof, then they're boom. But I need to know if you know, what do we do first? Bam. Multiply both sides by 8. And he didn't just pick some arbitrary number. Brendan's been listening and he knows that what we want to do is kill this fraction. We don't want it to be a fraction because we're going to have to distribute, but I'd rather not distribute a fraction. So if I can take that 8 out, life is good. And that's how we take it out, is we put on a big set of parentheses and we multiply both sides of the equation by 8. Nice job. Now, the 8 actually doesn't have a ton of work to do because it never penetrates into these purple parentheses here. So all that stuff that I've underlined in purple is safe, off limits. So when the 8 multiplies right here, what do we get?
8R.
We do. And when the 8 multiplies here, green arrow incoming, what do we get? We don't.
Oh, 1.
Yes. I mean, stop and ask yourself, like, I mean, other than the fact that you're stuck here and, your parents told you have to come to school today and you're sitting here. So there's the obvious, I'm doing this because my math teacher told me I have to. Let's think deeper than that. Why did we multiply by 8? What was our purpose?
Because it's the
To
bottom.
get rid of the fraction. And so if don't lose that focus, when you multiply by 8, this 8 and this 8 kill each other, leaving us with a number that is called 1. Now, as we saw on one of our practice problems, what happens if you take a 1 and distribute it through parentheses?
It's the exact same.
Nothing changes, exactly. So in a case like this, I can just bring down the m minus n minus b. They're out of the cage. They're out of their jail cell. The captain has turned off the seatbelt sign. You are now free to move about the cabin. If Ethan wants to move the M to the other side, get down with your bad self. You know, if Wyatt wants to add go ahead, add the N over there. No one cares anymore because there's no jail cell keeping the M and the N and the P, keeping them down. But of course, this isn't arbitrary, right? We want to solve for M. So what do?
So divide.
There is no division.
Multiply.
You do not
Subtract.
multiply.
So add.
I want to move this off. What do?
Add.
I add it. I also want to move green circle off. What do?
Add.
Yes, the only time you guys divide is if there's something stuck to your dude. If there was something stuck to the M, then later on, I'll divide it away. But when they're off separated like plus and minus, you just move them by adding them or subtracting them. And then you go over to the other side of the equation. You just do the same thing. I'm going to add N over here and I'm going to add P over here because that's what we do in math. And the problem is now officially over. We just have to write the answer. M equals what?
AR plus M plus P.
Yep. And for those of you that when I put this problem up here and you shook your head, I just hope that maybe something just clicked and you realize this is a tenth as hard as you think it is. It's not bad.
It's really not that bad.
It just gets me all flustered because there's hardly no numbers.
Right. I get it. 100%. Next one. We're going to solve for B. You could be as scared of this as you want, but once it clicks, you'll just look back and say, I can't believe that I was ever scared. It's okay to hate it now because like learning takes time. But once this clicks, you're going to be like, wow, we're going to employ the same principle as what Brendan gave us on the last problem. Like before we even start actually really doing the problem, what ought we do first?
So you multiply 59.
Multiply 59. Why? Because that's a fraction. And hey, we don't like fractions very much, right?
Especially the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't want this here. I'm trying to solve a dang problem, and I got this 59 nonsense up in my business. So I'm going to put a big set of parentheses on and just multiply by 59. Right? On the right-hand side, these 59s are going to go kapoof, gone. Mission accomplished. Fraction, dead.
It's 59.
It is 59n on the left equals ABC on the right. At this point, if I said, hey, Ethan, get A by itself, you go, okay, I'll divide by B and C. If I said, hey, Keith, I want you to get C by itself, you go, okay, I'll just divide by A and B. Like, it doesn't matter at this point. We're going to divide by whatever we have to, right? Good. So while I deal with this, you guys go ahead and finish this up. So since we're solving for B, what do we divide by?
AC.
A and C. And we just do it at the exact same time like this. Divide by air conditioning, and you're done. And then you just get B equals, well, whatever it is, 59n divided by AC, put a box around it. Not bad. Good. How are we doing so far? Got a couple more, okay? And I mean, I wish I had time for 10 more, but honestly, I just selected what I thought was best, and I think I have 3 more. So let's get through these. This first one is a test of just basic like fundamentals of solving equations. Now, mind you, it's not an equation, it's an inequality, but as you know, equations and inequalities we treat the same. Couple little nuancy differences, but fundamentals are fundamentals. Say again? Why is the 20 up there?
That's negative 20.
Minus 20. Yeah, is that just an ugly two?
No, I just have that vision.
Oh, you do? Take a moment, solve it, see what you come up with. The only acceptable answers on the board. So when you're ready to compare yours, it's up there. It's up. Yeah, you'll have to grab these. Yeah. Problems have purposes. Math teachers, we don't just arbitrarily come up with things. Like, we're always looking for something. I don't know if you knew that or not, but like, we're always on a mission. We're thirsty for knowledge. And what I want to know in this problem is, first out of the gate, does everyone know to add the 2x and the 5x first?
Yeah.
If you do, then it's been a very successful September, like mission accomplished, baby. So we get to what I have up on the board, and then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to subtract my 7x across like this, because I like my x's on the left with inequalities. And then I'm also going to turn around and then subtract the 4 from both sides like this, because if the numbers went left or the variables went left, the numbers have to go right. So then I'm going to go cancel, cancel, and I'm almost there. Negative 4x is greater than negative 24. I'm going to divide by negative 4, and we made it. X is less than 6, lo and behold. Okay. Hanging in there?
Oh, yep.
Next one. Are you feeling like this is getting easy?
Oh, yeah.
Then we're doing something. Then we're doing something right. You still don't like those ones with all the letters?
Nope. I mean, I thought those ones are easier as well. I know those ones got harder. Just, yeah.
What's my first test that I need to know my 56 ninth graders can pass?
Distribution?
Yeah, can they distribute?
Oh,
Well, it's not always pretty, but yeah, I want to make sure that our negatives are in the right place. So this one will be a fraction. I paid no mind when writing this problem, so I believe you're going to wind up with 6 x's on the left, and unless my math is off,
no,
you're going to wind up with negative 52. Are we all in the same spot?
yeah.
So yeah, this one, I'm right here with you. We're going to have a fraction, and we're not worried about it. We don't really care, because the number line isn't like, you know, it's not, we don't have to be all exact and stuff. So we are going to wind up with x is greater than or equal to negative 26 thirds. Yeah. Yeah. And I know that the time is getting close, but I do need you for just a couple more minutes. Okay, I won't make you late. Everyone okay on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, here's your last one. You've seen this problem now like 6 times, right? So if you haven't figured out what this problem is going to look like on the test yet, you just haven't been paying attention. So let's get to this one quick so that I don't make you late. So I'm not going to give you time to do this on your own. You've seen this before. You have a bank account balance. You're going to take a bunch of, let's say we're taking out withdrawals of like $50. Does that sound like a deal?
Yeah.
So we need that information so we can write our inequality. So here's how it goes. The money that I currently have in my account is $2,437. I'm going to take out $50, but how many times am I going to do it? Yeah, that's just is. I don't know. X times. Could be 10 times, could be 15, could be 8. I don't know. And then I'm going to say I need that answer to be at least, or in other words, greater than or equal to what? 75 bones. So just like before, writing and solving is the key. Writing is just not just a math problem, it's an algebra problem. So after this, we're going to get negative 50x is still greater than or equal to, let's see, 75 minus 2437 is negative 2362. And then if we divide that by negative 50, here's our final answer. X is less than or equal to 47.24. Now, remember the discussion we've had about this is, does it make sense to leave it as a decimal?
No,
No, not really.
you just put it to 47.
I would just put it to 47. Yeah. So when we go to graph it, we would graph it just as less than 47. And then the answer to the question in a complete sentence would be something like, I can make up to 47 withdrawals without going below the bounds. Okay. This has not been a satisfactory amount of review over the last few days. You do have a couple of options remaining. Number 1 is lunch today. Number 2 is after school today. Number 3 is Friday school tomorrow. But if you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
I bet you are.
This.
Yeah.